afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of Energy Briefs. Over the last few weeks, we've been talking about the price of crude oil, gasoline, and diesel slipping off their highs, even though they're showing some stickiness at the levels where they currently reside. Crude oil started the week at $89.41 a barrel and ended at $90.77. That's up $1.36. Wholesale gasoline started the week at $2.95.17 per gallon and it rose to $3.0175 per gallon to finish the week 7 cents higher. Futures were opposite the cash market and indicating a possible change in direction. We'll keep an eye on this for you. As we stated a minute ago, WTI on the wholesale level at the spot market level rose to $1.36 a barrel on the week. Retail gasoline fell 10 cents per gallon at the pump, and natural gas rose 61 cents per million BTUs, and it will continue to rise as the fall approaches, along with an EU deadline on Russian crude oil. On the demand side of the equation, some fundamentals and a couple of macros played into the mix this week, with stories out of the EU stating that they had just purchased the last available futures barrels of Brent crude that could be purchased because of the EU sanctions on Russian crude. This will surely push prices higher as we head towards the December 1st deadline imposed by the EU. On the other side of the demand equation, however, China showed purchases of crude oil equal to the mid-2020 levels at the beginning of the pandemic, showing a serious deterioration in the demand expectations for 2022. We also had the beginnings of a couple of tropical systems in the Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico. Even though the tropical storm season, the hurricane season began June 1st, we've waited to see they still haven't had our second named storm. While neither one of these storms that we saw be developing hit the U.S. coast, their development has raised another layer of risk to put on the energy sector as we look at crude oil prices, gasoline, and diesel. Inventory numbers for WTI and gasoline showed draws on the week, while the American Petroleum Institute showed a draw in distillates, that's jet fuel, diesel, and kerosene, but the Energy Information Agency out of the U.S. Department of Energy showed a build in the distillates. All in all, as we enter into the last week of higher demand, Labor Day, prices for the energy sector are starting to act seasonally. The main concern here is a tropical weather tightening scenario tightening in the Gulf and the Mid-Atlantic. Demand for heating oil for the EU and natural gas could be a very serious issue as we head into mid-fall and early winter. These two could pull the rest of the entire energy complex with them as they hit benchmarks for more supply. Now, for the biggest news of the week, the Biden administration signed the $740 billion bill. They call it the Inflation Reduction Bill. I'm not sure if that's an adequate description of what we're looking at, especially when the CBO estimates that it could cost upwards of $1.5 trillion or more. The heat is on now, higher than ever, as this bill introduced 52 new radical policy agenda items hidden in the bill. It will make inflation worse by making it even more difficult than ever to produce energy from fossil fuels at a time when the increased amount for the infrastructure that we need to develop for the renewable energy simply does not exist. Experts are telling us it could take several more years before the U.S. grid system can handle the added demand this administration is pushing on us now. I truly believe that the vast majority of this country sees the utter fallacy of this bill and are not fooled by the political rhetoric. But we all still continue to pay the price for this administration's further attacks on our fossil fuels.